So I want us to consider this question paper. This is grade 8 mathematics from our Western Cape government education. So we are not going to waste much time. Want to see how you were supposed to answer these questions. That was a paper 1 question paper for June 2015. So most of this part that we are having there, I want you to be very, very careful. Very, very careful how to answer these questions. All right. So we were given a total of 75 marks, which is 1.5 hours. So let us see. The first part, you make sure you read your instructions. All right. Read the following instructions carefully before answering the questions. All right. So we were given the part of our question. It has got 7 questions. All right. Then answer all the questions. Number the answers correctly according to the numbering system. So it's going to depend if you are answering on that paper, which is what we are now having nowadays. But you remember this, you are going to write it aside, which is fine, no problem. And the most important part is this: whenever you are to round off your answers, make sure you do so to 2 decimal places, all right, unless stated otherwise, unless there is an instruction that you're given on that question. So I hope everything is clear there. So like I said, we are not going to waste much time. These are your typical questions that you need to understand as part of your syllabus in your term 2. 1.1, we were given, all right, write down the following from this information. Okay, write down the following. 1.11, the first 4 multiples of 3. The multiples of 3, right? When you divide, like if you are multiplying 3 must be there. So multiples, this is how you simply get the multiples. You just start by that number. If you've forgotten multiples, you just start by that number, which is 3. So it's just 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4. These are multiples of 3. 1, 2, and so on. So you're multiplying 3 times 1, which is 3, 3 times 2, which is 6, 3 times 3, which is 9, 3 times 4, which is 12. So if you have forgotten, you can go back to this idea to get back your factors. So in this case, our factors, the multiples, which are the first 4. Take note, they gave you the first 4, the first 4. So you start at 1, 3 times 1, which is a 3. So which means the first one is going to be 3, followed by 6, followed by 9, followed by 12, and so on. So if you're to continue, you're going to multiply again 3 times 5, which is a 15, and so on. But you are not considering these ones because they gave you an instruction. The first what? The first 4. The first 4 multiples. All right. So 3 must also be there. You include that on your multiples. Okay. That was our first question. Let us check the second part. 1.12. We need 2 factors of 30 which add up. Take note. They are not just factors of 30. No, they must add up to 18. So if you're answering now these questions, typically these days, what they do is that they are going to give you answers A, B, C, D. All right. So most part, this part here, they are going to give you A, B, C, D, where you choose your answers from. Then from the rest of the section, they are not going to give you that part. But in this case, we were not given, which is fine. No problem. You just have to know, guys. Okay. Factors. What are factors? That is the first thing. Factors of 30. So that is 1.12. Let us consider first the factors of 30. What are factors? So factors, we are talking about these numbers which are, when you divide, they are going to be exactly divisible. It must be exactly divisible to that number. So meaning to say, if I'm considered the factors of 30, I can just even do it this way. To multiply the numbers, I can even express 30 as a product of its prime factors. Start by the smaller number, which is 2, into 30, that is 15. All right, I move on to the other one. I can't use 2. This is 15, guys, so I can try 3. 15 divided by 3, that is a 5. Then I can use also 5, 5, and 1, that is a 5. So, meaning to say, if I multiply these numbers here, I must obtain a 32 times 3 times a 5. That is a 30. So, what you simply do is that from these numbers, since you need two factors, take note, two factors. So you are going to do this way. You can take the first two numbers, which is 2 and what? 2 and 3. 2 times 3, that is what? That is 6. Meaning to say you remain with what? You remain with a 5. So there is 6 and a 5 like this. These are two factors of 30. 6 times 5 is a 30. All right. So this is, you just try like that. Okay. Since you took these two numbers first, then you're going to move on to these two. This time you take these two numbers, meaning to say you remain with a 2 and 3 times 5, which is 15. It's also factors of 30. So it's not like you have the answer automatically. No, you can try to match these numbers. All right. So remember, we took the 2 and the 3 and also the 3 and the 5. So let's try another pair again. We can take the first number, the 2 and the 5. So if you take the 2 and the 5, that means you remain here with a 3 and 2 times 5, which is a 10. It's also factor. These are, because we want to have it like this, two factors of 30. So if I multiply 6 times 5 is 30. 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 5, 3 times 10, it's a 30 also. So if you know the answer, there's no need for you to do this. There's no need. So now I want to try this now because I have these factors, but they are saying these factors which add up to 18. Add up, add. You must add. So you must add. Let's add here. Let's add here. Let's add here. 6 plus 5, that is 11, which is not 13. So this one is out. 2 plus 15, that is 17. This is not 13. So these two are out. 3 plus 10, that is 13. Exactly what we want. So the factors that we want is 3 and 10. So like I said, if you know these numbers, there is no need for you to do this. But this one, I'm just doing for the sake of us all to understand. So that's 3 and a 10. 3 times a 10, that's a 30. All right. If we add 3 plus a 10, that's a 18. So these are the two factors that we want, 3 and a 10. All right. So this is and. Someone is surprised. What is this one? This is and 3 and 10. All right. So that is how you're supposed to answer this question. Let us move on to 1.13. The cube root of 27. The cube root. What is the cube root? The cube root is like this. The cube root of 27. You're asking yourself which number that multiplies itself 3 times to give us a 27. That number is a 3. The cube root of 27 is a 3. But let's say you've forgotten your cube root, you've forgotten your square root, this and that. You are just going to do it like this because this is just 1 mark. You take your calculator like this, all right? So I'm just gonna first change my calculator to the normal mode. Sorry for that. So this is what you do. The cube root, it's here on x squared. On the square root here on top, if you check, there's a cube root there on top of the square root. So this is what you do, shift, you do this, you press the square root. So as you can see, it is giving you the cube root. So you just press 27 like that. So that is a 3. So you can also opt for a calculator. No one is going to know that there you have used a calculator. It's just 1 mark for that, okay? 1.14. The additive inverse. So take note, we need the additive inverse of -3. What is the additive inverse? Remember, there is a multiplicative inverse, additive inverse. All right. So the additive inverse, it states that, okay? So this is what you need to know about the additive inverse. It states that if you have a number which is, let's say, x, okay, you add to its additive inverse, which is the one that carries a negative like this, you must get a 0, which is the additive identity. So we are simply saying the number as it is, all right, which is maybe 2 plus its additive identity, which is minus, we must get a 0. So it's simply that if you add 2 terms, you must get a 0. A number to its additive, must give us what? A 0. So meaning to say, if they're asking you the additive of -3, you simply put it this way. This is -3 like this. So what are you supposed to add to -3? What are you supposed to add here to get what? A 0. That is the question. The additive. What are you supposed to add to -3 here to get a 0? What are you supposed to add? That's a +3. So if this is minus, you put the positive here. If this is a positive, you put a minus. So the number is supposed to remain as it is. As you can see, if this is x, this is also x, but only that it carries a negative. So if this is a negative, it changes to be a positive. So the additive inverse of a 3 is what? Is a 3. That is the idea there. All right, let us check another question that we are given. 1.15, the answer to, all right, we need the answer to this, okay? So let us just do it on this part here. Let us just work it out here. We are given -3 plus, there is a 5 inside of the bracket times a 4. Remember your board mass, like this, your board mass. So it's brackets off. We need to take off the brackets. So what is going to remove this bracket? What is it? Remember, if the number is not shown here where there is a bracket, if the number is not indicated, what is multiplying the bracket? It means there is a 1. It's invisible. So what you do is that you just multiply. So meaning to say you are going to remain with -3, 1 times 5, 1 times 5, which is a +5. You've removed the bracket, but there's a times that is there, times what? Times 4. So after the brackets we have removed, you check, is there a division? No, there's no division. Is there a multiplication? Yes, there is a multiplication. So what you do is that you must multiply these two numbers, the multiplication of these two numbers. So it's -3 plus 5 times a 4. So it's plus and a plus, it's a plus. So you multiply 5 times a 4, which is what? Which is a 20. Then if you subtract -3 from 20, which is same as 20 minus 3, which is the same way as to subtract -3. I mean, to subtract 3 from 20. To subtract 3 from 20, it means 20 minus 3. That is to subtract 3 from 20. So that is going to give you a 17. So at this stage, even if you are stuck, you do not know what to do, use your calculator at this stage. No one is going to even understand what happened there. Just use your calculator. If you are confusing with your minus directed, these directed numbers, so just add -3 plus a 20 like this, which is going to give you a 17. You can also prove each and every part that you're given if this is correct. So that is what you're going to have there. 1.2, let us check 1.2. Answer the following. All right, 1.21, write 72 as a product of its prime factors. But they did not end there, okay? The question is not ending here because there's a statement here. Write your answer in exponential form, follow the instruction. It is not just to have prime factors, no, but it is also to write them in exponential form. That is the format of a to the power of this. That is exponential form, 2 to the power of 3, 4 to 3 to the power of, this is exponential form. So they want your answer to be in that format. So let's first express it as a product of its prime factors first. Okay, do not confuse yourself. Do it stage by stage. So 72 as a product of its prime factors, you start to divide by the smallest number possible, which is a prime number. Remember, prime numbers divisible by 1 and itself. So the smallest is a 2. So on dividing, your calculator is there as an assistance. You've forgotten 72 divided by 6. So you can just use your calculator to divide these numbers. 72 divide by a 2 like this. This will be a 36. So you obtain 36 here. You try again 2. Okay, you divide 36 divided by a 2. This is going to give us 18. So that's 18. You divide again by 2 is still a factor. So 18 divide by 2. This is going to give us a 9. But as you can see, 9 is not a factor. 2 is not a factor of 9. So we cannot use a 2 this time. Take note, this number 9 is not. Okay, there we are taking 2, 6, 8. There's something that you check 2, 6, 8. But on 9, 2 is not. But you can think of what? A 3. So you can divide by a 3. 9 divide by a 3. So on this number, that is going to be a 3. Or you just divide by a 3 like this. You get the answer, which is a 3. Again, you can divide by 3. 3 divided by 3, that is going to give us a 1. So if you divide 3 and a 3, you obtain a 1. Once you get a 1 like this, you are done. You do not divide again because it is going to be, there is no other prime number that you're going to use. 1 is not a prime number. Remember that. So this 72 that we are seeing here as a product of its prime factors, this 72 is the product of these numbers 2 times 2 times 2. Like this 2 times a 2. 3 times a 3. So it's going to be times 3 times a 3. So remember, when we did our exponents, when I talked about exponents, the number of times, like what we see here, 2 is multiplying itself how many times? Let's count 1, 2, 3. 2 is multiplying itself 3 times. So it means 2 to the exponent of 3, 2 to the power of 3. The power is the number of times that number is multiplying itself. Okay, times 3 times 3. 3 is multiplying itself how many times? It is multiplying itself 2 times. So it means 3 to the power of 2 or 3 to the exponent of 2. So this is 72 as a product of its prime factors, but in what? In exponential form. Let us try to be very careful when answering these questions, all right? So we are done. Let's move on. 1.22, determine the LCM, that is the lowest common multiple. So we need the lowest common multiple of 24 and 32. So as we know that the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple, they can be determined. They can be determined as long our numbers are expressed or are written in exponential form, or they are written as prime factors in exponential form. No matter the way that you want, you can have the LCM and also the HCF. So this is 1.22. Let us check what we're given there. 1.22. I'm just going to use this part here. So the numbers that we are given is 24 and 32. So you need to calculate or to determine the LCM, the lowest common multiple. So this is what you do. Just express your numbers as product of their prime factors. So express the given numbers as product of their prime factors, as product of their prime factors, as product of their prime factors. So you can also write them in exponential form. It's up to you. So let's start with 24, each number. So you start with each, we write each as a number in as a product of its prime factors, all right? So let's start with 24. We do the same, you divide 24 divided by 2, you are going to get a 12. You divide again by 2, 12 divided by 2, that's a 6. All right, you divide again by 2, 6 divided by 2, that's a 3. 3 and 1, 3 and 3, that's going to give us a 1. Okay, so I want you to use the calculator if you do not understand how to divide properly. Okay, 32 divided by 2, you are going to get a 16. You do the same by 2. 16 divided by 2, that is going to give us 8 in this case. You divide again by 2. 8 divide by 2, that is a 4. All right, you divide again by 2. 4 divided by 2, that is a 2. You divide again by 2. 2 divided by 2, that's a 1. So this is what you have. This number here, 24, that we are seeing, can be written as 2 times 2 times 2. 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times a 3. All right. The 32 that we have here can be written as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 2 is multiplying itself 5 times. 5 times. So it's either you are going to write as numbers in exponential form, which is fine, or you're going to just leave it like this. If you leave it like this, how do you determine the LCM? The LCM, remember, it's a multiple. It consists of everything. It takes all values must be in that multiple. It's a number which consists of every given number. So when you are given this is how you take your LCM. You take where these numbers are many, the 2's. There are 2's here, which are 3. There are also the 2's. There are 5 here. So you take where there are many. There are many here. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Up to 5. So meaning to say our LCM was going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times a 2. Or 2 to the power of a 5. Then you move on to a 3. Here we do not have a 3, but here there is a 3. Remember what I said about the LCM. It takes all values, all numbers. So meaning to say 3 must be there also. Even if we do not, even though we do not have it here, we do not have a 3. We do not have. But for the fact that it has appeared here, we have it here. For the fact that we just have that number, it must be taken on the LCM. If it was for the HCF, we do not take because it's a factor. But the multiple, it's a mother of all, so it takes everything. All right. So you're going to multiply 2 times 2. But guys, check here. These numbers, all of these numbers, they are the ones which we took from 32. So it's simply 32 times 3, or just use your calculator. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. On multiplying, you are going to obtain 96. This is your LCM. So that is, we can have our LCM as direct as that. Let us move on to another part. 1.23, write this number, which is 345 million in scientific notation. So the scientific notation is to have our number between 1 and 10. So the comma must be here between 1 and 10. So it's going to be 3,45, okay, times 10 to the exponent. How many commas do we have, or how many numbers do we have before this number that we have before this comma, just here, these numbers, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 of them. So it's to the exponent of 8. You started with a whole number, or you started with a significant digit. So this n, it remains, I mean, this 8 here, which is your exponent, remains as a positive. That's your scientific notation, all right? Very sure I'm going to talk about that as a separate class. It's unfortunate that I didn't mention that as an introduction, but as time goes on, we're just going to talk about that so that we understand each other. If you check this question, we talked about this type of a question on another class, but only that there's some changes that we are seeing here on the square root of that number. But the rest of the questions are the same. So I'm just going to also try to explain different methods, because I explained other methods or simplifications on that class. If you have not watched it, make sure that you watch it so that you do understand other methods that I explained in that video. All right, we are given 2.1 to determine or to simplify. Show all calculations the cube root of this 27. All right, so we are given to determine the cube root of this 27 that we are given to the exponent of a 3. So what does it mean? It simply means there we simply have something of this nature here, simply something like this. It can be just given like this to the exponent of 3, just one and the same. Same, it's just one and the same thing. So what is it that we are actually having here? I explained how to remove the cube root by dividing. All right, if you have a cube root, you can remove it by dividing to the exponent. Meaning to say we can simply take this as 27 to the exponent of a 3, this one, divided to this 3 here in the root sign. So meaning to say this is going to be 27 to the exponent of 3 over 3, which is a 1. That is 27 to the exponent of 1, which is what? Just a 27. As I talked about different methods, so just make sure that you watch that video so that at least you can make sure you understand your basics of simplification. All right, 2.2, the square root of 16, that is 2.2, the square root of 16 plus a 9. So in the last class that we had, remember we had it with a negative there. All right, this was supposed to be a positive. Anyways, we worked with a negative, which is fine. Everything that we had there, when it was a negative, it is correct. But when this is a positive, what is it that we are having? This is the square root of, remember I said, whenever you're given two terms which are adding or subtracting under the square root, you add first these terms. So in this case, you're going to add 16 plus a 9. Never be tempted to determine the square root of 16 aside the square root of 9. No. This is an expression. It's one thing. So you add the numbers first. 16 plus 9, which is what? 25. What is the square root of 25? The square root of 25 is a 5. Just like that, you're done. Just like that. 2.3. We are given 3 to the exponent of a 4 plus 17 to the exponent of a 0 like this, minus the square root of a 49. All right. If I'm given this type of a question, this one, they just want you to simplify each number that you are given, each separate. So if you do not understand your numbers like 3 to the exponent of 4 or 3 to the power of 4, that it is 81, you do not know how to simplify this. You can just simplify each number separately on your calculator. This is what I'm trying to say. Let's say you do not know this. Just take out your calculator. 3 to the exponent, that is 3 to the exponent power of a 4 like this. That is 81. So you're going to have 81 plus, remember, any number to the exponent of a 0 is a 1. But even if you do not know, just use your calculator, 17 in a bracket like this. to the exponent of what? To the exponent, you put the exponent of a 0 like this. This is going to give you a 1, even if you do not know that. The same thing with the square root of 49 minus the square root of 49. So you're going to do the same thing. All right, the square root of a 49, which is a 7, but you can also use a calculator. That's a 7. At least you have showed each and every stage that this is going to give us 81. This is going to give us a 1. This is going to give us a 7. Then you add everything that you have. You can start by adding 81 and a 2 and a 1 here. 81 plus 1, that is going to give us 82 minus 7, and 82 minus 7 is going to give us a 75. But like I said, if you do not know this, just add 81 plus a 1 like this, then minus a 7. This is going to give us a 75. So that is how you can simplify this type of equation. You can have your assistance from the calculator as you are simplifying these questions. 2.4, that is, you are given the same typical question or the same type of equation, minus 1 to the exponent of a 3 plus 10 to the exponent of a 2 plus 4 times minus 5. So when on this type of equation, we still have to use our bodmas concept, which is a little bit different from this part that everything was just addition, subtraction. So addition, subtraction, there's no need for you to use the bodmas concept. But there is a multiplication, addition, subtraction. So we have to consider the brackets. We do not have division. We do not have, but there is a multiplication. But as you are moving to this part where the multiplication is, because the multiplication is between this plus 4 and minus 5. These are the two numbers which are multiplied together. So as you are moving to these numbers, you can also simplify these other numbers. Minus 1 to the exponent of 3, that is minus 1. Remember, a negative when raised to an odd exponent, it remains as a negative. But if you have forgotten this, the calculator, guys, is there as the assistance, like I said before. So just take out your calculator, minus 1 like this to the exponent of a 3. What are you going to have? That's a minus 1. Plus, you move 10 to the exponent of a 2, you're going to obtain a 100, 10 times 10, or 10 to the exponent of a 2, that is 10 squared, which is 100. So you can simplify that. Then you move on now to the bodmas concept, which the multiplication, these two numbers are being multiplied. So you have to multiply 4 and minus 5, which is going to give us what? A minus 20. So if you multiply a positive 4 to a negative 5 like this, you are going to obtain a negative 20. Then you can combine these numbers together. These are the numbers that you're given. At this stage, just combine the marks there. You're going to obtain all the marks that you're given, minus 1 plus 100. Then you subtract a 20 like this. This is going to give us a 79. With this, you can obtain full marks at that stage. You can obtain full marks. So understand your bodmas. It is very, very important in your simplification to understand that. Know it. So this was 10-mark question on number 2. Let us consider another part of our question. This is question number 3. Question number 3, simplify the following without using a calculator. So we are not allowed to use a calculator. This time we are not allowed to use a calculator without using a calculator. All right, so let us simplify and see what we're given. 3.1 on A, that is 2 and 1 over 4 multiplied to 2 over 3. So this here, remember, it's a mixed fraction. So we have to write it as an improper fraction, multiply these two, then you add to the numerator. So this is how you do it. 4 times 2, which is 8. Then 8 plus 1, that is 9 over a 4 like this, times 2 over a 3. Remember from the multiplication that we can reduce these numbers as long they have a relationship between the numerator to the denominator. The numerator to the denominator, these numbers can be reduced. So here I can reduce the 3 into 3, that is 1. 3 into 9, that is a 3. 9 divided by 3. 2 divided by 2, that is a 1. 2 into this 4, or 4 divided by 2, that is a 2. So meaning to say I can reduce these numbers, and we are going to have 3 times 1, which is a 3. The relationship between the numerators is only to multiply them. Also, the denominators only to multiply them. So 2 times 1, that is going to be a 2. So you are done at that stage. You're done. So that is what they are going to ask you. You can write it the way that you want on the final answer. You can even leave it at that stage. It's still fine. The B, we still have the same consideration. This is 3 over 4 plus 4 and 1 over 6 divided to a 5. So there, because of the division, addition, meaning to say the bodmas again has to be applied. Brackets of division. So we need division first, but as we are to divide, we can also rewrite these fractions as improper fractions. Remember what I said, multiply, then you add. Okay, you multiply this, then you add. So it's 6 times 4. 6 times 4, which is 24. Then you add 1, which is 25. So this is going to be 25 over 6 divided to 5. Remember, every number, a whole number, as long as there's a fraction like this, every whole number can be written as these other fractions as over a 1. Every whole number, there is an invisible one that is there, that is dividing, that is over 1. So meaning to say this is same as 5 over 1. You are back to your fractions. You are dividing. What is it that you're supposed to do? You are considering this part here. You are dividing these two here. So what is it that you're supposed to consider? You are supposed to know that whenever you are dividing, what you're supposed to do is to introduce the multiplication on the second fraction. This one. You divide, you are dividing, so you introduce a multiplication. By just putting a multiplication, what is that you do? You flip over that second fraction. So it will be 1 on top and 5 in the denominator like this. So you just flip over the second fraction. Then from there, you can simplify. Take note that I said here, we are supposed to combine this. This is the same part that we are still having that we just had before as a division. But now we have a multiplication, just like what we had before on that multiplication that we can cancel between the numerator and the denominator. So you can divide, okay? 5 divided by 5, that's a 1. 5 into 25, or 25 divided by 5, that is a 5. 25 divided by a 5, that is a 5. So meaning to say you are left with 5 times 1, which is 5, over 6 times 1, which is a 6. So this is where you are now, and you need to add these two fractions. So to add these two fractions, it's either I'm going to make these denominators to be the same. I just have to find the lowest common denominator, which is the common denominator between 4 and a 6. 4 and a 6, which is, I can use a 12. So to get a 12, what am I going to do for this number here to give us a 12? What are we supposed to do? I'm supposed to obtain a 12. So I multiply by a 3. 12 divided by 4, that is a 3. So if I multiply by a 3, I get a 12. So what I've done in the denominator, I have to do it in the numerator also. The same thing, I ask myself, this number to be a 12, what am I supposed to multiply with? So I just divide. 12 divided by 6, that's a 2. So meaning to say, if I multiply by 2, I get a 12. If I multiply by 2 here in the denominator, I must have the 12. So you check your LCD. Your LCD, your lowest common denominator, which is 12. Then you think about that 12. To get the 12, what are you supposed to do on this number to get a 12? So meaning to say you're going to multiply 3 times 3, that is what? 9 over 3 times 4, that is a 12, plus 5 times a 2, that is a 10, over 6 times a 2, that is a 12. So since the denominators are the same, it's an advantage to us because we are simply going to add the numerators. 9 plus a 10, you add the numerators. That is going to give us a 19. So you can write it as 19 over 12, which is fine. Or you can divide 12 into 19, which is 1, remainder 7 over 12. It's up to you. Or you can just leave it like that. So this is how you can simplify without a calculator, showing all these stages to obtain the full marks. That is what you just need there. So you just have to be very careful on these simplifications that you are given. All right, let us consider this other part that you're given, 3.2. So 3.2, when we're given, Tara bought a fridge for 2,500 and sold it for 3,999 rand. Calculate the percentage profit, take note, profit she made. So we need the percentage profit there. So it follows that, I'm just gonna use this space here, 3.21. So it follows that if you are calculating the percentage profit, you've got two things here. There is the buying price, all right? You've got the buying price, all right, which is 2,500. She bought this with 2,500 and sold it, all right? So you also have the selling price, which is 3,999. This is what you're given. And what you need is to calculate the percentage profit. So I'm just gonna write it in short. So it follows that the percentage profit, all right, if you want profit, it must be equal to the profit. You must have a profit in order for you to have percentage profit over the cost price, which is the buying price. So let me just put it this way. Maybe this is what you're used. Buying price, that's your cost price, isn't it? Okay, so that is cost price or the buying price that you have times 100%, which is 100 over 1. So remember, this profit here is the difference. So the profit, if you want to have the profit, you simply subtract. You bought something at this, okay? So this one, buying price or the cost price, what it costed you before, okay? Or the price that you bought the fridge at. So you bought a fridge at this price, then you are selling it at this price. What is the profit? You simply subtract these two. So it's selling price minus the cost price, or selling price minus the buying price. So this is selling price minus the buying price or the cost price. All right. So you have to subtract these two to get what? To get your profit. So if you want, you can subtract these two. Or you can just put it this way on your formula, because you know that profit is selling price minus buying price. So let us just put it this way. We have our selling price, 3,999 minus the buying price, which is our cost price, which is what? 2,500. Everything over what? The cost price, which is 2,500 times 100%. So you multiply by 100 over 1. So this is it. So yes, you could have just subtracted this before here, which is your profit. So the difference here, if you're to subtract, you are going to get a difference of 1,499. So that's it. So here you can just use your calculator straightforward to calculate your profit, which is your percentage profit. At this stage, you can just use your calculator like this. You put a fraction, then you subtract 3,999 like this, minus 2,500. Everything over 2,500, then you multiply to 100. So you change your this one SD, that is 59,96. So this one is going to be 59,96%. Okay, there we have the percentage profit. Percentage profit. Okay, that is you must have the profit to have the percentage profit. All right, let's check 3.2. It's another question. Ivy bought a fridge. Sorry, we're given that Ivy bought the fridge for 3,999 and paid a deposit of 10%. How much was the deposit? Just the deposit. How much? So the deposit is 10%. So how do you calculate the deposit? So it simply means deposit is equal to the percentage deposit that you're given there times the amount, all right, that you're given. So you multiply to the amount. So what is our percentage deposit? Is 10%. So it's 10% of the amount. So 10% off means 10 over 100 times the amount, which is 3,999. So this is going to give us a deposit, which is the amount deposited. So if you use your calculator properly, you are going to get 399,9. But this is the money that you are talking about. So for money, you put 2 decimal places, 1, 2. So you just put a 0 there to make sure that you are indicating 2 decimal places as per instruction. Okay, let us check 3.3. 5,000 rand is invested at 6% simple interest per year for 4 years. So it's a simple interest. It's a simple interest. So the question is, calculate what the investment is worthy at the end of the 4 years. What is the amount, the accumulated amount at the end of what? Of 4 years. Given the amount, the money that is invested, the money that is invested is your principal. So you have got P, money invested, which is 5,000 rand. At 6% simple interest. So the simple interest, you can write the R to represent that, or you can write I to represent this. But the moment that you write the interest rate as I like this, you must remove the percentage. So how do you remove the percentage? I is equal to R over 100%, which is 6 over 100%. That is how you can remove that interest. Okay, that is how you can remove the percentage. So it's 6 over 100. On your calculator, that's 0.06, or you can just leave it as what? 6 over 100%. Then the number of years, it's n. N is the number of years, 4 years. Okay, that is the number of years, the time in years. So the question is, how do you calculate the amount accumulated using what? Simple interest. Take note, it's a simple interest. So you're supposed to use simple interest formula. So we know that for simple interest formula, amount is equal to P into 1 plus I times N, like this, where I is the interest rate and N the number of years. So we can calculate this. So that is the principal amount invested, which is 5,000 into 1 plus, so this is I, this one as a decimal, that's 0.06, or as a fraction, 6 over 100 times what? N, the number of years. You just put in the values. So that is it. So you can simplify this stage by stage on your calculator. You can multiply these two first, then add 1 like this. All right, let's just save our calculator and see. That is 1 plus the product of these two numbers, 0.06 times what? Times a 4, like this. You can even open a bracket to multiply these two numbers. So you're going to get a decimal of 1.24. So it means we've got 5,000 times 1.24. So this is the amount accumulated at the end. If we multiply 1.24 to 5,000, you are going to get 6,200. So this is 6,200. That is the amount accumulated. So that's 6,200 rand, just like that. So if it was a compound interest, you must work with what you are given. Consider each part on its own. All right, question number 4, we are given, consider the following expression. This is the expression that we are given. Minus 10 to the exponent of 3 plus 10x plus 12 minus 3x squared. 4.11, how many terms are there? The terms that are being combined, it's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 terms. Okay, you count each and every term that is there. What is the constant term? So remember, the constant is the one where we do not have the variable, where we do not have x. So the constant is plus 12. So the constant there was going to be a 12, where we do not have x. 4.13, what is the coefficient of x squared? So the coefficient of x squared is the number multiplying x squared. There is where our x squared is here. This is where our x squared is. What is the number that is multiplying x squared? The number multiplying x squared is minus 3. So that is the coefficient, the number multiplying x squared. If it was the coefficient of x cubed, the number multiplying x to the exponent of 3 is what? Is minus 10. So in this case, you focus on x squared. Then 4.14, we are asked on this part now. All right, sorry for that. That is to calculate the value of the expression if x is 2, minus 2, if x is minus 2. So they are simply saying, substitute this value of x, which is minus 2, wherever there is x on this expression. So it means where there is an x, you substitute or you put a minus 2. So it's minus 10 into minus 2 to the exponent of a 3. Okay? Then you move on, plus 10x. 10x means 10 times. X is what? Minus 2. You open a bracket. Plus 12, there's nothing there that we have of x. Minus 3x squared. So it's minus 3 in place of x here. You substitute minus 3 squared like that. So you have got 2 marks. 1 just to substitute as you have done. Then even to use your calculator to write your answer, you obtain full marks for that. So this is going to be minus a 10 like this. You open a bracket, minus 2. Inside of the bracket, you raise this to the exponent of a 3. Okay, let's move aside. We move on to 10 into 2. So that's 10. So we must have a plus there. 10. Open the bracket, that's minus 2 like this, okay? Plus a 12. So we move on, plus a 12. Minus 3 into, so this is minus 3 into minus 2, minus 3 squared. All right, guys, where am I getting the minus 2? This is minus, the minus 3, where am I getting this? This is minus 3. So you substitute there a minus 2 there. Okay, to the exponent of 2 like this. Okay, this is to show that my mind is now tired, but that is going to be a 60. If you simplify this properly, you are going to obtain a positive 60. So this is minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. The value of x is minus 2. Remember, you are told there to substitute minus 2 if x is minus 2. So that was the idea of the question. 4.2. Let's see what we got on 4.2. If x is equal to -3, y is 3, calculate the value of this. So there you just need to substitute 3y minus x squared. So you are given, that is 4.2. So the expression that we are given there is of 4y minus x to the exponent of a 2. But we are given something there. We are given that x is supposed to be -2, y is supposed to be equal to 3. X is minus a 2, whilst y is 3. So this is the same as the previous question. You just have to substitute where there is a y, you're going to substitute a 3. So that's 4 times a 3. So you just combine this minus x. Our x is what? Is -2 like this. So everything must be raised to the exponent of a 2. Okay, let's simplify. 4 times 3, that is going to give us a 12 minus and a minus, that's a plus. So it will be 4, it will be 12 plus a 2 to the power of 2. So that is what was this 4y or 3y? As you see this thing of writing aside, this is 3y. Okay, you see there's a disadvantage of having these question papers where you write on this other side. Okay, I'm just supposed to substitute this was 3y there. So that's a 3 times a 3. So let's correct this. 3 times a 3, that is a 9. All right. So that is it. 9 plus a 2, which is 11 to the exponent of a 2. That's 11 times 11. That is what that was going to give you 121. So please be careful on exam. The advantage that we have nowadays, like I said, you answer where you see the question, exactly the question there, they are going to give you that part 2, just answer this straightforward. All right, 4.3, Eddie is X years old. So we are given a certain guy who is X years old. Write an expression in X, meaning to say your answer is supposed to be with the X to show how old he will be in 11 years. Okay, take an example to say maybe Eddie is 2 years now. After 11 years, how old is he going to be? You just add 11. So if now he is X years old, and after 11 years, you were going to add, if he was a 2, you're going to add 11. What if he is X? You simply have to add 11. So meaning to say in 11 years time, D is going to be X plus 11 years old. You just have to add whatever that you're given, the number of years to come, you just have to add them. All right. Question number 5. The following are the first 4 diagrams of a pattern. We are just given the first one. There's like rectangles there or squares that you're given. No problem. Let's get the idea of the question first before we analyze what we're given there. On this part of our question, we are given it's a table that we are given the pattern number, then the number of the shaded blocks, 1, 4, 2, 8, and so on and so on. So if we check, they're just giving us a pattern which is taken like this. It's just like the first pattern is just like checking the squares. Let us go back here. The first pattern, how many squares? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 squares. So you're simply saying on the first pattern, there are 4 squares. You move on to the second one. How many squares on the second one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 squares. On the second one, there are 8. On the third one, how many do we have? Just like that. That is the idea there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So on the third one, there are 12. Just like that. So this is the third one, which is 12. So it's just a pattern that you're showing. The fourth one, there are 16, and so on and so on. These numbers that we have showing this pattern was the one that is given like this. Pattern number 1, it's 4, 2, 8. So they're just giving us like a table now. But this is what we are used to like this. We are used to this. So this is your T1. This is your first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and so on. T1, T2, T3, and so on. T1, T2, T3, T4, and so on. So they can give you in form of a table in this manner. Anyways, how many shaded blocks would be in the 6th diagram? The 6th diagram, meaning to say on the 6th pattern, what is going to be the corresponding? So how do we determine this? We can simply check what is happening here. Between the first term and the second term here, there's a difference of 4. Second term minus first term, 8 minus 4. There's a difference of 4. 12 minus 8, there's a difference of 4. 16 minus 12, there's a difference of 4 throughout. Difference of 4. So it means we're simply adding a 4 here. 4 plus 4, that is 8. 8 plus 4, that is 12. 12 plus 4, that is 16. So meaning to say 16 plus 4 is what? Is 20. 20 plus 4, that is going to be 24, and so on. You're going to add 24 plus 4, which is 28, and so on and so on. But the question is, which one is on the 6th diagram? The 6th pattern. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6th pattern is going to correspond with 24 blocks. So there are going to be 24 blocks from the 6th pattern. All right. 5.2, determine the number of blocks in the nth diagram. In the nth diagram at the end, in the nth diagram, what is going to be the Tn? They are simply asking you to find Tn. So if you use this one, and so you can do that. But remember what I said when I talked about this type of a question on a linear pattern where there's a common difference. There's a common difference for throughout. So it's a linear pattern. I said whenever you see that, your Tn is going to be written as a certain number here times n plus a certain number. There's a number here which you multiply n, and this number represents the common difference. So it means that Tn is equal to 4n. The difference is what? Is 4. So Tn is equal to 4n plus. There's a number that we are supposed to put in here. So how do I determine this number? How do I know this number? I can just go back here. T1, from the pattern 1, it means T1, the corresponding when n is equal to 1, T1 is equal to 4. So this is n. N is equal to 1, then T1 is a 4. When n is 1, T1 is a 4. So you can substitute 4 is equal to 4 times n. N, the pattern number, which is 1, plus this part that you need to calculate. Maybe you can call it B, you can call it whatever that you want. So as you can see, 4 times 1, that is a 4. All right. And if you take this 4 to the other side, it will be 4 minus 4. And 4 minus 4 is what? Is a 0. So this number that we do not know here that was supposed to be added is a 0. There's nothing there. So what does it mean? It means our Tn was just going to be equal to 4n. 4n plus 0 means what? Means 4n. That is just your 4n. It is just your 4n. So there's nothing that you're going to do on that part. It is just 4n like that. So this is how your questions can be given. Then which diagram in the sequence will we have 276 blocks? So you take advantage of that Tn that you calculated. Remember, we now know this expression that Tn is equal to 4n. So what are we given? The number of blocks, this is your Tn. So we are given that Tn is equal to 276 blocks. Find which diagram. The diagram is the pattern number. They want you to find what is going to be n when Tn is 276. So it is just an equation. Remember, we said Tn is 4n. So we can write this way. 4n is equal to 276 because our Tn this time is what? Is 276. So you are supposed to calculate to determine n. So you divide. Since you're multiplying, remember your equations, you are going to divide by what? By 4 both sides. So 276 divided by 4, this was going to give us a 69. So that's the 69th diagram that we are talking about when answering this. So it is just a continuation that you're given there. You just have to continue from what you are given from the first part of your question. So let's see our question 6. That is simplify. We are given a 6.11. Just ask yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to simplify? There is a bracket there. So you're given 3a minus 2b inside of a bracket, minus 3b like this. What does it mean? There is a number outside of the bracket always to expand the bracket. So if the number is not given, that means there is a 1 which is just invisible. So expanding by 1 does not affect anything. 1 times 3a, that is going to be 3a. 1 times minus 2b, it is going to be minus 2b. Then there is a minus 3b, which is not part of this bracket, but it is just to be subtracted. You just have to subtract that. So after expanding your brackets, consider the like terms. I have got a part of a b here and also a part of a b. These are like terms, same b and also same exponent. Exponent is the same. So we can combine these. Minus 2, minus 3. That is going to give you minus 5. So it will be minus 5b. There is nothing that we can do. These are unlike terms. Unlike terms cannot be added or subtracted. You cannot do anything. All right. 6.12. 2 over 3 into the bracket of 9x minus 12. So this is it, guys. Just take your calculator, expand, because the bracket, so the 2 over 3 is supposed to expand, multiply 3. The 2 over 3 is going to multiply minus 12. So this is it. Just take your calculator and you can just do this direct. Do not worry about that. That is 2 over a 3 like this times a 9. That's 6. But the 6 is with x. There is x there. So it is going to be 6x. The same thing, the 2 over 3, remember, it must also multiply minus 12. So on your calculator, also this must multiply minus 12. So what are you going to have? That's a minus 8. So you are going to have 6x minus 8. These are unlike terms. We do not have x here. So there's nothing that you're going to do. It is done. It is done. There's nothing that we can do. All right, the same thing, 6.13, what is it that you're supposed to simplify? Just ask yourself that. All right, so there I'm given brackets if I'm to consider this properly. And like I said, whenever the number is not shown on a bracket, there is a 1 there. So there's a minus 1. It is just invisible. They do not put that one, but it's there. All right, so let's expand the first bracket, 2a. You distribute this in this bracket, a and a is going to be 2a squared. There's a and another a. So to the exponent of 1, to the exponent of 1, you add, that will be 2a squared. 2 and minus 3, that is going to be minus 6, but there is a there. So it's minus 6a. You are done with the first bracket. You multiply everything in the first bracket, you are done. The second bracket, you do the same thing. Minus 1 multiplies here. Minus 1 also multiplies a minus 5. So it's minus 1 times a, that's positive a. That's a negative, sorry for that, minus and a positive, that will be a minus a. Then -1 and a -5, minus, that's a positive. When a minus and a minus meet, they give us a positive at the end. But a minus and a plus, it's a minus. So also consider your like terms. There is a and a, they're same exponent. So these are like terms. So that's -6 -1. That's -7a plus a 5. Just like that, you are done. So they can test you these questions. You just have to be careful. 6.14, simplify again. That's an exponent there. 6.14 we are given. -2p to the exponent of a 5 to the exponent of a 3. Okay, remember what I said about the exponents, that a negative, when raised to an odd exponent, it remains as a negative. Okay, so you move on. 2 to the exponent of a 3. 2 to the exponent of a 3 means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2, 4 times 2, that is 8. P to the exponent of 5 also raised to the exponent of a 3. How do you write this? P to the exponent of a 5, but being raised to exponent of a 3. Remember, laws of exponents. X to the exponent of A to the exponent of B is x to the exponent of AB. You multiply, so it's 5 times 3. 5 times 3, which is 15. So that's p to the exponent of a 15. You multiply exponent to exponent. That's it. Just like that, you're done. All right. There's nothing that you can do on that part. 6.15, again, simplify. That is 6.15. You're given 8m to the exponent of 3 plus 6m to the exponent of 5. Like this, minus 2m to the exponent of 2, everything over minus 2m squared. So whenever you have a question like this, you separate everything. This over minus 2m squared, this also over minus 2m squared, this also over minus 2m squared. So everything is going to be separated to this minus 2m squared. So let us start with 8m to the exponent of 3. So it is going to be 8m to the exponent of 3 over minus 2m to the exponent of 2. Plus, there's a plus there, 6m to the exponent of 5 over this. Everything is divided by 2m squared, minus 2m squared. Minus 2m squared over minus 2m squared. Everything is divided by minus 2m squared. So it follows that 8 divided by minus 2, you can use your calculator on this one. You are going to obtain a minus 4. Then there you are dividing. Take note from your laws of exponents. If you're dividing the bases that are the same, x to the exponent of a over x to the exponent of b, because the bases are the same, you subtract the exponents a minus b. So you're going to subtract 3 minus 1. M to the exponent of 3 minus 2. So 3 minus 2, that's what? That's a 1. So m to the exponent of 1 is same as m. You do the same thing on this one. Divide first. 6 divided to minus 3. To minus 2, you're going to get a minus 3. Sorry, guys, my mind is just tired now, okay? Let us just finish up. All right, there we've got m and m. Subtract your exponents. M to the exponent of 5 minus 2. That is m to the exponent of 5 minus 2. That will be 3. So guys, make sure that you also do subscribe so that you do make sure that everything goes well. See, guys, we are trying to make sure that these revisions are in your hands at the right time. Anyways, that's it. That's another thing on its own. All right. Negative there, you can divide the 2 and the 2, the m squared, the m squared, that is going to be a positive 1. Is there anything that you can do? There's nothing. This is to the exponent of 3. This is to the exponent of 1. So they are called unlike terms. they have got different exponents, so they cannot be added even though there is m, but because of different exponents, you cannot add these two. You cannot combine them. You cannot subtract them. There's nothing that you can do. 6.16, 36p to the exponent of 6 over minus 6p to the exponent of 2 or minus p squared. So again, we just have to divide, use a calculator. 36 divided by 6, that's minus 6. They were dividing again the bases, which are the same. Remember, I said you subtract the exponents. 6 minus 2. This will be p to the exponent of a 4. Just like that. Just like that. Is there anything that we can do? No, nothing. You are done. Subtract on 6.17. Subtract this from. Take note. From where? That is what you have to consider. So that's 6.17 from. You start from. So that's 4a minus 5b minus 2. What are we supposed to do? We are supposed to subtract. What are we subtracting? This is what we are subtracting. 3a minus 2b plus a 1. Take note, from this. So the one from, there's no need for you to put brackets from this one, but you can do that if you want. You can just put a bracket. Then you know that there's a 1 invisible. Also, there's a minus 1 invisible that you are going to use to expand to remove the brackets. So multiply by 1. 1 times 4a, that is going to be 4a. 1 times minus 5b, that's minus 5b. 1 times any number, guys, it remains as it is. But this time there's a minus 1 on this bracket. There's a minus. So when a minus multiplies a positive, it gives us a minus. A minus and a minus, it gives us a positive. So it will be positive. A minus and a plus, it will be a minus 1. Then you can collect your like terms. Those terms with a, subtract them together. There is 4a here and also minus 3a. So this is it. 4 minus 3. What is 4 minus 3? That's 1a. 1a is same as a. You move on to the part with b. There is a minus 5b. There is a 2b. So you add these two. Minus 5 plus 2. Minus 5 plus 2. That's minus 3. But there is a b there. So it is going to be minus 3b. You move on to the constants. There are constants, numbers that are there. Minus 2 and minus 1. These are constants. You combine the constants on their own. Minus 2, minus 1. You are going to get a minus 3. So you consider like terms, a on its own, b on its own, constants on their own. So is there anything common? Nothing. So we can't add or subtract. We cannot add or subtract anything. We are done. These are unlike terms. There's nothing that we can do. So that was the whole question 6 to simplify. All right, question 7, solve for x. It's an equation. These are equations. Now you have to give the value of x. What is that x that we are talking about in that equation? Okay, 7.1. 2x minus 5 is equal to 11. How do we find x? So if you check, these do not have x, and also here we do not have x. These are constants. So collect these constants to one side of the equation. So the minus 5 is going to jump the equal sign to this 11. The moment it jumps the equal sign, this sign changes. It was a minus, so it is going to change. So it is going to be 2x is equal to 11. The sign changes. So it is going to be a plus 5 on the other side of the equation, just like that. So that's it. 2x is equal to what? Add 11 plus 5, that is 16. This is 2 times. So how do I remove these times? I divide. The opposite of multiply is to divide. The moment you divide, you are removing x. So 16 divided by 2, that is going to give us 8. So x is supposed to be equal to 8. That is the x which satisfies this equation. If you substitute 8 here, that's 8 times 2 times 8, which is 16, minus 5, that's 11. 11 is equal to 11. That's it. That is to mean truly our x is supposed to be 8. 7.2, there's a bracket this time. We have got the 7.2. 4 into the bracket of x minus 2. Minus 3x is equal to 2x minus 5. Okay, don't be scared that there's x, there's x, there's. Don't be separate. Don't panic. Expand your brackets, collect your like terms, just like that. Okay, so what is expanding this bracket? There's a number there out of the bracket. 4 multiplies everything inside of the bracket. 4 times x, 4x. 4 times minus 2, minus 8. You are done with the bracket. But as you are done with the bracket, there is a minus 3x to also combine on this. So you just subtract your 3x. So this is equal to 2x minus 5. So before you take this here, no, before that, combine your left-hand side where there are like terms. Take those like terms together. There is 4x and minus 3x. Take these together. What are you going to have? 4 minus 3. I talked about this. You are going to get a 1. So it's 1x. 1x is same as what? Is the same as x. Okay. Minus 8 is equal to 2x minus a 5. So there is x here. There is x here. So what am I going to do? I can take this x to the left-hand side. But the moment that it jumps the equal sign, it crosses the equal sign, it must change its sign. So it was a positive. This side, it is going to be a minus 2x. So it's x, which was already on the left-hand side. Then you subtract the 2x. So also, you must take the minus 8 to the other side of the equation. The moment it jumps the equal sign, it changes also its sign. So we are going to write the minus 5, which was already on the right-hand side. So the minus 8, it jumped the equal sign. It is going to be a plus 8. It must change its sign. So let's subtract. Remember, 1x is the same as this x, so there's a 1 there. So it's 1 minus 2. These are like terms. 1 minus 2, that is minus 1x, is equal to minus 5 plus 8. If you add properly there, it is the same as 8 minus 5, which is going to give us a positive 3. Take note, it's a positive, not minus 3, but a positive 3. So how do I find x? Because this is minus 1x, not x. We need x. So this is a product. I told you guys, a product, you divide by the number that is there to remove that number when it is a product, when you are multiplying. So this and this can cancel. You remain with x. So x is equal to what? 3 divided by minus 1, that is minus 3. So therefore, our x is minus 3. Our x is minus 3. That is how you answer these questions. Make sure that you just follow up the brackets, expansion of brackets, this and that. All right, number 7.3, which is a fraction. They are solved. There are so many ways that you can actually do solve this one. X over 4 plus 3 is equal to 9. So this is what I can do. I can take these 3 because it's being added. So I can transpose. I can make it jump the equal sign to where another number is, where this 9 is. So it is going to be x over 4 is equal to, the moment it jumps the equal sign, it must change its sign. So it is going to be a -3 on this side. So that's 9 minus 3. What is 9 minus 3? 9 minus 3 is 6. So this is it. It's a fraction. This is the same as 6 over 1. So what is the LCD of 4 and 1? That is a 4. Remember, you want to remove the fraction. So you multiply by the LCD this side. You also multiply by the LCD this side to remove your fraction. This is the same as over 1. So this 4 and 4 can cancel. You have 1. 1 times x is what? It's x, which is equal to 6 over 1, which is same as 6 times a 4. 6 times 4 is what? 24. Just like that. Yes, you can remove the fractions in the first stage. You could have removed it like this. Plus 3 is equal to 9. 3 is same as 3 over 1. 9 is same as 9 over 1. So you consider what is the LCD of 4, 1, and 1. So the LCD there is for the lowest common denominator. So you multiply by it throughout each and every number. So here you also multiply by 4. Here you also multiply by 4, each and every number. So this can cancel because it's the same as 4 over 1. So it's a 1 times x, which is x. All right, 1 into 4, that is 4 times 3, that is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times a 4, this is going to give us a 36. So you can now transpose or take the 12 to the other number there, which is the 36, to the other side of the equation. The moment it crosses the equal sign, it is supposed to change its sign. So x is going to be 36 minus a 12, which is the same answer as what we got before, which is a 24. So this was your question paper of June 2015. You are supposed to revise as many questions as you can now, as many questions to prepare yourselves for your June common test, which is ahead of time. So till we meet again.